Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
Ambiance. It's
Sorry, I was saying there I had to keep the ice cream going because I was getting out the laptop and stuff, so I didn't give it enough attention, and now it's like, I have to give it extra. So you chat away there for a while.
yeah, I'll start the podcast there, so Anna, while you're eating your ice cream. Yeah, no bother. Yeah. Some bloke walks behind you. Welcome, everybody. Episode 4, I beg your pardon. Episode 4, season 2 of Banana and Bears Rugby Podcast. I am, of course, Tom O'Mahony here in not too bad Ireland in the way the heat wise. It's about 16 degrees outside. And of course, as always, joining me as I sit on her shoulders, as she is a genuine rugby player, legend of the game. Stuff in her face with ice cream, make me pure fair jealous with the most unbelievable backdrop I've ever seen. Like, that looks like some shit somebody in an office just downloaded and stuck up behind them. And it's actually in the harbour in La Coruña.
I'm actually sad because if I'd called you half an hour ago, you would have been able to see a big massive cruiser ship there behind me. It just pulled out. It's like savage.
A fella nearly ran up on top of you.
He did, yeah. I'm actually wondering, am I in the running path here? Oh no, there's a fella running that side as well.
No,
anyway,
there's an old pair just walked behind you there, and they haven't ran in 50 fucking years, Anna. That's grand.
No, fair play to them. But they're all out here now. To be fair, I obviously everyone who knows I'm living in Spain, the ice cream's under a bit more control now, so I can kind of chat a bit. But everyone's like, oh, Spanish weather, and always, or most of the time I've been here, I've had to say, like, the weather's been shite.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I wonder did I chat to you about this before? Did you ever read that book, McCarthy's Bar?
Yes, I did once upon a time, yes.
Right. There's a wonderful paragraph in it where he's down, the premise of it. So if people haven't read McCarthy's Bar, it's a fantastic book. This English fellow with Irish heritage who used to spend his summers growing up in Ireland went on kind of a journey of discovery, and he learned once upon a time that you should never pass a pub that has your name on it. Mm-hmm. And he always lived by that in his adult life. And then he came to Ireland and he went to West Cork, and sure, all the fucking pubs are called McCarthy, so he had to go into all the pubs. And in one pub anyway, he said they were chatting about the weather, and someone was complaining about the weather, and someone said, we need to take the weather in Ireland with everything it has. The rain, the sun, the bad weather, the good weather. With the bad weather protects us from, he was kind of saying, like, look out there at those fields and that coastline. And there's a beautiful, view down to the beach. And he's like, if we had weather like they have in Spain, that view would be full of apartments, full of buildings, full of shops, full of everything. So when it rains and when we have a rainy day, you need to thank the Lord above that. That's what the weather we have, and that's what it's like in Coruña as well.
Yeah, but you've landed today as on episode 4, kind of shitting the bed on that premise, Anna. It's splitting the stones. You've got your sunnies on, your ice cream is melting. There's an old fella sweating behind you, but
I'm enjoying the backdrop. I can't really see it because it's so bright, but yeah, I know. The fucking sun came out on Sunday, and I'm leaving tomorrow. Or today, Wednesday. So by the time this comes out,
there's a fellow taking a selfie behind you. Okay, this is the most bizarre. We could do the whole podcast just looking over your shoulder. This is unbelievable.
Giving them names. Do you ever look at passers-by and give them a name?
The whole time, the amount of Teresa's. For some reason, the amount of Teresa's I peak. I don't know what it is.
Oh my God, there's a Teresa coming here.
Is there a Teresa coming? Right, let's describe this Teresa now. What's your version? This is your version of a Teresa.
Like a short white bob. She's got lipstick on, nice glasses. She's with her husband. Styly, and
She could be a caramel too. That's the only thing. I find caramels are often style.
Styly like that. Yeah.
So tell us, before we go any further, and annoying the shit out of me now with the ice cream, what kind of ice cream is it?
Right. So it was pistachio on top. Now, and there's chocolate orange underneath, which is very nice. Now, this place, it's called Pico, which is the Galician word for a kiss.
Shout out Pico.
it's very popular here because they do a lot of flavors like gluten-free and things like that. There's always a big, massive queue. So where I just had a Canya, I just had a little Estrella beer for myself
love
there.
Jesus.
My last day here, I might as well enjoy it. So I just had a little beer there for myself. And when I made an awful error. I was like, oh, I'll pay for my beer, I'll go to the toilet, and then I'll jump on the call. Go away, pigeon. And I was like, oh, I'll pay for my beer and I'll go to the toilet. And then what I did was I ordered the ice cream before going to the toilet. You can't go to the toilet. We've ordered ice cream that doesn't have a wrapper. So I say, well, I'll be on a short call today because I need to go.
There's a fucking sea behind you. I won't. We'll press pause. Be all right.
Stick the arse over. They all do that here, by the way. There's no kind of qualms about people like going for a wee wherever they need to.
That's another thing about Europe we talked about, that they have a different approach to nudity, bodily functions. They don't give, and I love it. It's like my son at the moment at 3.5 is kind of Spanish in that sense, in that he don't give one bollocks about anything nudity wise or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like, if only you could retain staying in the present so much, where you're like, well, I need to go, so fuck you. You know?
That's it. And even like nudity in general, like everyone down the beach is like topless. No one gives a fuck.
Class in the sense that the wind now is eating your microphone, something savage, but sure, that's all right.
Yeah, I wonder, can I protect it somehow?
It's not. It's not. It's only that time it blew. It's all right. It's only that time it blew. I mean, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Your last day. Why is it your last day? You set us up last week. First off, how are your sesame seeds?
The sesame seed failed the test.
Bastard.
I know. So I actually didn't get to play, but because we were kind of pushing it, like, to see if I could play the team that we were relying on winning lost. So actually, we knew by the time we got to Sunday that we had no chance to get to the semi-finals. So it wouldn't have made sense for me to kind of risk it and play just for a game that would have made no difference to get to the semi-final or not. So didn't play, but we won, but we won't get to the semi-final. So Shinny, I was, I had planned on staying here in Coruña for the summer, but I've kind of other fish to fry at home. So I'm leaving tomorrow, which is very soon.
Jesus, when you said that, I was like, geez, you wouldn't go on the piss for a week or something. You know, that kind of like, I just, when you said it, was like, this woman is all action. I better get her on the podcast quickly. She's all fucking action. Jesus Christ. Goodbye, rear view mirror. Good luck. Thanks, La Coruña. Thanks for the cheese. Catch you later.
I know, but it's the way I live my life, you know. I don't like getting too attached anywhere anyway.
I like it. So that was
the adventure going.
I had no gigs at the weekend. It was actually a glorious weekend in that sense. I do often miss it when I don't. But it was a nice weekend. I discovered I had a good long drive with something I haven't done in a long time with my father. We went off to look at a fireplace.
Lovely.
And it was, do you know what? Over in West Clare. It was a beautiful drive. Turned out the fireplace, it was a fucking Arctic truck. I'd want to bring the fucking thing anyway, but the Jeep wasn't going to do it. But anyway, either way, we discovered a place. Do you know, and remember when we spoke very, very first, I spoke about this mystical place in Mallow that was like something out of 1960s. Well, I had breakfast one time. And you were going, I can't place that place at all.
Yeah.
Well, I found an equivalent in Tipperary town. I knew it existed, but I couldn't believe it still existed. It was still on the go, like from 20 years ago. But this place called the Shamrogue, which, by the way, if you like a rasher, if you like a good rasher, by Sufferton, jeez, you'd step over your mother for their rashers. Oh my good God. But what I loved about it was there was zero. And I mean, you know, from years of living in cities, they're always like, hey guys, how's it going? So today our menu is, and they're try hard. The polar fucking opposite to that. It was like, sit wherever you want. It's like, okay, all right. And the woman came out then, and my outfit was like, oh, here comes the real charm. She was like, She had no fucking time for me, my small talk, nothing. She just fired toast in front of me and just turned her back. I loved it, but then the grub was absolutely out of this world. Do
I
you
have
know,
so many questions. What did you order?
I went for the staple because they had a list as long as your arm, but I said if they can get the staple right, full Irish, let's see what they can do right with it. The egg was on point. I mean, it looked like an Instagram egg. Do you know, crack it? Do you know the ones? Crack them open.
You didn't put it on your story. No point eating a good egg if you don't put it on your story.
I'm ruining it now by telling you and all the millions of listeners that we have, but it was out. I had no time for Instagram, and I would have. Do you know what?
Yes.
Also, it really would to say it would have stuck out. Some prick like me, when you have Jerry the Builder next to you, horsing into a fucking and you're one who wouldn't even she wouldn't give me the time of day. Like if I pulled out a phone and started taking photographs of my fucking breakfast, I'd say she would have taken it from under me and just told me to get the fuck out. And she would have been right.
She would have been right. You're right.
Yeah, she would have been right.
I've another question. Where is this place?
It's
Tipperary. Sorry, you said town, but what's it called?
It's called the Shamrogue. It's called the Shamrogue.
Oh, sorry.
And it's
when you were talking about there, I felt like I might know where you're talking about. But sorry, you already said Shamrogue, and I don't know where that is.
It's just off the main street on a kind of the one kind of hilly street that passes through the main street, and it's I suppose the farmers of the mart would come in. That's where they go, and even their chalkboard. It was written by somebody. I'd say they wrote it in their bad hand while doing something with their good hand, if you know what I mean. It was I couldn't work out the fight. I think there was the basics. There was chicken, fuck your chicken, fuck your bacon, fuck your burgers, and fuck your lasagna. And that was after that, fuck you. If you can't get around that now, fuck you. And it was the non-fluff around everything and the no.
My next question was, what kind of rasher? Describe the rasher to me, because I'm very interested in this.
Do you know the rashers you get, and the slimy white stuff cupped inside in the cup where they forget about it in the corner of the pan or whatever they fry it, and you're like, for the love of Jesus now.
Right.
Nothing of that. He obviously put it on a griddle, flattened it, salty as bejesus, but the kind of salt where you go, I don't know if that salty, is it? That's just the right amount of salt, but you drive 5 minutes up the road and your entire face is turned inside out and you need to pull into a petrol station and just put your head under a fucking tap. That sort of a rasher. To the point he made the fat go crispy enough that it tasted sweet. That's the kind of rasher. Like, you'd sit back and eat a plate of these rashers. Like, that's the kind of thing. And it was such a joy. Such a joy. And do you know something? A drive out West Clare, I would advise anybody. Yes, you have yachts behind you, La Coruña and all the rest, but a drive out.
Forget about it.
Out to Killaloo, Kilrush, heading for Ina and Ennis-Simon and all them places. It's just such a look. And do you know what they've done? There's hustlers everywhere. Everybody is trying to pull off a cool thing that you can pull in and do. Do you know that kind of way? It's not every like we pulled in at this one. There was this fucking thing. It was one of those containers, shipping containers, but they'd done it really snazzy. And they had and it was a drive-through, and your one was pulled in. They'd macaroons.
That's for the Instagrammers, anyway.
Oh, it's absolutely. They'd macaroons. I got myself a macaroon because you know what, I treat me every so often.
There's Susan and Martin there now.
Oh, Susan and Martin, how you got, lads? Shout out to the lads.
Yeah, and Joe just went back on the bike. And I had another question there for you now. Would the Shamrogues mind us doing an episode there some morning?
Oh, Anna, to say that would never happen in a month of fucking Sundays is an understatement. Like, if I mentioned,
know. Well, maybe yeah, go on.
Maybe, but I just don't think it would fly. I think we'd be told to fuck off or buy a rasher, one or the other, which I kind of love in one way. Like, we'd nearly have to put down the recorder in between us and just talk about the rasher, and maybe. You know what I mean? Like incognito without allowing them to know, because I'd say we'd be ran out of the place, I'd say. Which,
by the way, there's chunks of orange in this.
That's
I
fair
forgot to mention
vexing.
that a while ago.
Fair vexing now. But the weekend was full of ice cream and barbecuing.
Question for you.
Yeah, sorry, you have another question for me.
No, 'tis gone now. 'Tis about the food as well. But I'm sold. You've me sold. We do great advertising here for places, you know.
It's unbelievable. We have Derry Murphy's, isn't it? Well, we'll finally get to do sit down next week if you haven't ran away to play rugby in Azerbaijan by this time next week. But don't tell me that Azerbaijan is on the fucking cards, is it? You're looking at me like,
No,
well,
not yet. Not yet. But do you know what? I'll be in Mallow next Tuesday. That's where I'll be next Tuesday. I'm going to London on Wednesday. But
let's do it. Let's sit down with the recorder and do it right. I finished up with your sister's people of Rathcormac last night, and the most. When you're talking to her next, does she live there?
No.
Well, it's one of the few places in Ireland that I went. I would live here. Just
there you go now.
The community spirit around there, and the people. I've done probably 80 or 90 of these acting coaching things around in every county in the country, and never once did I get given gifts at the last rehearsal. It was tear-to glass eye stuff. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Oh my God, fair play to the lads in Rathcormac. Jesus, my sister will be delighted.
They are glorious, and I tell you, some grafters, they put in unbelievable work. I can't wait to see what they end up turning out, and I would say they have raised literally tens of thousands already for their local Bride Rovers. They'll be all driving around in fucking Range Rovers. Never mind Bride Rovers.
So are they putting on? Are they putting on a performance?
What this is we will now send a film crew. They have costume, they have location, and we will film in Ultra HD, very high quality short versions of very famous movies. Around Rathcormac, and make it look like the real thing. And then a huge big night of the Oscars would be at the Roachtown Park. I don't know when it is.
Right.
In a couple of weeks' time.
I actually saw someone recently putting up kind of a night at the Oscars, and it seemed to be what that was. Yeah. I can't remember who it was now. That's obviously what they did. Oh, that's a brilliant idea. It's kind of like your new Dancing with the Stars.
Same crowd. They approached me to ask me if I could take a bunch of these movies that were really well known and chop them down and get the story still into 10, 12 minutes. So I did this with a bunch of movies for them, and then I go and meet these people. But the characters, Anna, like the country. There was a chap, I swear to God, he stopped me in my tracks every time he opened his fucking mouth. He was this dairy farmer from. I have him playing Pat Mustard in Father Ted.
No.
And he's funnier and better than the
guy. When's that on? I want to go.
It's on in a couple of weeks. It's on like in about a fortnight, I'd say. 3 weeks, I'd say.
Right, we'll see. If I'm around, I'll definitely go, because that sounds brilliant.
Oh, brilliant.
Fair play to the people in Rathcormac.
They were a lovely bunch. So you're back. We're going to do a real one. So next week, that's very, very exciting.
Jesus, 'tis. Yeah. And then I'm away again for where I have a few different, like I said, fish to fry.
Jesus Christ.
I'm losing the feeling in my leg here. I'm going to do a little shuffle.
Is that a good leg or bad leg?
The bad leg has lost its feeling, so that's a good sign.
Oh, good.
I don't know. But anyway,
sure. Every time I pick up the phone to look at it in any app, whether it be fucking podcasts, whether it be Anna Capeless, you're everywhere right now. You are all encompassing. You are the Jesus to my rugby fucking knowledge at the moment. Like everywhere I turn, it's like there's Anna again, educating people and whatnot. You're on OTB the other day, owning the show again. By the way, anybody track down Anna and find a through line of how she ends up just kind of running the show better than the host do? I don't know if you noticed this, but you go, all right, but sit down there 1 second and Anna will run the show here. It's way more interesting.
But but that's their job to ask the questions.
All right, no. But you could just give an answer to. There's like fellas, the amount of people that'll be on and just give the answer that's asked of them. But then you kind of go, right, I'll come around the
Yeah.
houses. I'll tell you this one because I need to tell you another one. And then I'll tell you that one because I need to tell you the one beyond that. So sit down for
Yeah.
10 minutes there and make us up a tea.
I know. Sure, you know that well from Banana and Bears.
Oh yeah. I'm
No.
it makes me very proud to hear you kind of going like, go on, take over
Yeah.
their show as well.
It's a hard out thing to do, you know, like obviously. So the one thing about coming home this week is I can actually like get to the Irish match this weekend in Cork, which I'm delighted for. It's going to be, I don't know, we'll talk about the rugby in a minute, but like it's going to be fucking insane. Like England are by far like the best team in the world, obviously, which we knew, but they're just so like. Did you watch England play at the weekend?
Oh my God! I only got to see the highlights because I was getting pulled left. What happens when my schedule opens up and the calendar it gets filled up with things like looking at fireplaces in West Clare that won't fit in the fucking vehicle, like that kind of way. But no, I only got to see the highlights. But again, like there's only better they're getting. Like,
well, they had 9 different tries from 9 different players, and they also like kept Wales from scoring when they had 13 players on the pitch, 2 yellow cards. And it was great to see Joy Neville back refereeing. She'd been kind of doing most of the TMO role the last while, so it's great to see her back. And we'll talk about the rugby in a minute, but just in terms of like the event, like the and my column will be out Wednesday, which is today, the day the pod goes
yes,
out.
yeah, we retweeted
as well, and basically just if Irish women's rugby ever needed our support, it was now.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, like come down and like support the girls because they need our support. And Jesus, so many people are really supporting them now because people can see, you know, just how far behind like we've become. And I know that there's things in place to try and fix it. I'm not trying to be big, nasty, like, you know, burn our bras and all this. Like, I just want progress to be made so much. And like I promised myself, like when I retired, that I would continue to advocate for this. So I just can't, on principle and how I am. I can't, you know, just sit back about this. I'm going to have to keep demanding more for the players. And like, I'm just so excited to go see them play this weekend. Like, and England are just going to be like unreal because they've got to get everything right before they play France next weekend. I'll be in London next weekend for that game as well. So England versus France, 50,000 tickets sold. It's going to be the biggest game of women's rugby ever, like with the biggest live crowd in attendance ever. So like they're under no illusions. Like they lost the World Cup final. They've literally been so focused since. Now Ireland have always like standout players like Niamh Jones again, like making all her tackles, working so hard. Like Sam Monaghan, most offloads out of anyone in the tournament so far. Like she's Nicola Friday, like, you know, putting in like serious
Warrior.
work. If a Doyle on the wing, like there's just like Grace Moore, great, like she's, you know, young and fresh and coming into the squad. She's working so hard as well. Like it's so great to see so many big performances from them, but they're going to have their backs against the wall this weekend and just, you know, going to come out like absolute lions. They've no choice.
They've no choice.
They just have to go and go and go and go again and go again and go again for 80 minutes. Like that's, you can kind of get to a place in your mind where you get a bit crazy, you know, when you're training or when you're playing. And I think they'll have to get to that level this weekend. Not easy to get there, and you put your body through an awful amount to get there, but certainly they'll be getting to that place in their minds this weekend. But I urge anyone around to come out and support them because they need support. They deserve the support as well for how much battering they're taking, and you can't just support teams when they're winning. You know, we have to support them, and I'd urge anyone listening to this now, right, Saturday, no plans, I'm going to go to the match.
Yeah. It's well said, by the way. And I can also see like you made a commitment to digging in your heels and going, no, this needs to be done. And much like not much like, but I suppose in par with what I was talking about with those people in Rathcormac, to see the way like they weren't taking a backward step, the efforts that they are going to as a tiny community to propel their GA club. And it's, you know what I mean? And it's just, and it's everybody from the small children to older people to everybody's going, yeah, buy in, I buy in, you know, and they may not, they didn't win the county final. Do you know what I mean? They didn't, do you know, but it doesn't make a difference. They are all in, chips across the table, all in, and not taking a backward step regardless. And that's sometimes I think people, while you'll be a bit parochial when it comes to like that, your local GA team or your local rugby team, you're very local. You can go, well, I'm at Ireland is Ireland and it's all the way up. But Jesus Christ, you still need to lock onto it the same way, like, and get excited about it the same way. Like, look at where they can get to. They've got 2 legs, 2 arms, all these girls, the same as the England girls, the same as the French women. They can get to that point with a backing from all of us. Do you know, like, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I 100% back what you're saying.
It's funny because we thought that, like, you know, Wales are obviously very, very much far ahead of us now. I thought that Wales might be able to put a bit more of a test to England. No, sure. They also thought that they were closer to England. And, like, yes, they challenged them early on in the first half, but, like, they are still so far behind England. So I don't know how long it'll take for Ireland. Oh, but I'm impatient with it, and I've said that before. I'm very impatient with it. So, like, let's see, like, what the next couple of years like rolls out. But I'm not going to just sit and be like, yeah, sure, Jesus, we'll see. I'm going to support the girls, and especially with the kind of stuff that was coming out in the media last week, it just had to be like, let's call a spade here. Like, there's kind of claims from people in the IRFU saying, no, we don't believe this is a sexist organisation. It is. It is.
For fuck's sake.
Parts of it, no, absolutely not. And there are brilliant people, and I'll say it every time, there's brilliant people in the RFU, but there are absolutely elements of it that are still, and this kind of word of like archaic or, old-fashioned or whatever, it's kind of thrown around. I don't take that as an excuse.
No.
I just don't. People say, the older generation, the kind of era will kind of let them off with it. No, I don't buy that. I don't think that's good enough. You can't. It's about respecting people. And like, and allegedly someone said, who gives a fuck about women's rugby at a big IRFU dinner? Like, if that's what you think, if that's really what you think, why are you shouting it out loud to try and encourage other people to feel the same way? When you know that that's not an archaic thing. That's like to me that's like a bully or something. I don't know. I wasn't too shocked to hear something like that. I've heard examples like that before. So I'm just sad that they didn't like put their hands up and be like, this is completely unacceptable.
Yeah. And how the fuck he wasn't, that whoever it was, if it was said, because of course he did say allegedly, whoever that they weren't pulled on it on the spot, damn near, or immediately as they stepped away from the scenario.
It doesn't sound like it. I wonder if anything was said to that person ever. I feel like going on kind of tradition, probably not, because it's kind of like Era. He's probably just that way anyway. I don't know who it is, but Era. It's always this, these shitty stories coming out, and like I just think if there's people able to be like, we will not stand for this, and send a message, instead of being like, oh no, we don't think that this actually happened, or we don't believe. No, come on now, like we've all been there, and it's not just rugby, like it's GAA, golf, like a lot of people with those kind of attitudes, and I don't think being old-fashioned. I understand, you have to have empathy. I'm an empathetic person. I understand where people get to places in their lives because of their own journeys. So like that person said those things because he obviously has never been around women to challenge him in that way. I get that, but I think we've got to a point, it's 2023. People know when they're being respectful and when they're not.
Of course they do. Yeah. You know when something, this isn't Mad Men 1960s. Hey, toots, get me, none of that shit. This is
it. 2023.
There's nobody tripping over their words going, oh, fuck it, sorry. I absolutely thought she should be chained to the sink. I didn't mean, like, I'm not that way anymore, though. No, you bollocks. You fucking know full well that's coming out with that old shite. But here's the fucking thing, Anna. And I can't fathom it. And I'm from rural Ireland, whereas I grew up, I suppose I'm lucky in a sense I grew up around very, very strong women. Like, but there's all strong women around here. And you get a clip around the fucking ear if you even thought otherwise. Like, everybody defers. But even if you were a bollocks and you went, I have no time for women's rugby. What harm? What's your problem with it? I have no rhyme or reason. Like, I've had questions drawn on me in interviews about fucking things that have nothing to do with me. But I've no problem with the situation. And now they'll kind of put it back, go, oh, does that mean you're... And I'm like, no, I couldn't give a shit, I don't care. Drive on. Will it cost me any money? No, Grant. Do you know the situations involved? But certainly I can't grasp why you would have a problem with sticking... Are you frightened that some of your power is going to be taken in letting women into the house, into the hen house, or into the tree house? No girls allowed, dude.
Yeah. Yes, I often think about that as well, and like whatever about people in positions of power, but like actual fans, that you'd see like ranting and raving online saying the women's program is a waste of RFU's money, blah 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 blah. Well, first of all, what makes you think that you're entitled to have an opinion on where the RFU spends their money?
Yeah.
It's as if, like, I also spent money on going to Munster games. So should I not see that in return? It's not developed by the players, it's developed by the people that come and pay money to go to the matches. I pay that money too. So we deserve it to come back into every part of the community. Like, if you wanted only that money to go to the men's program, only men should be allowed to attend the games.
That's a really great statement. Yeah.
They
seem happy enough to take the ticket fee off if a woman wants to go buy one. Happy enough to take her money.
100%. 100%. So that argument has come up an awful lot. Like, it's obviously visual because you get however many fans going to the men's games, and then like obviously a fraction of the number going to the women's games for now. But the way I view it is that there's an oil well over there, and it'll take a little bit of time to dig into it. We've got a big open oil well here in front of us, and we're working on that one. But like, we kind of know what we're dealing with. We could hire more people with the money we have, and we could dig into that oil well over there, and eventually we will find more oil.
Yeah, 100%.
Like any business.
This is exactly what the drum I've been banging, is that it's utter madness to turn a blind eye to the opportunity. Even if you didn't give a fuck about sport, which apparently Philip Brown wasn't even a rugby fan when he was running the RFU. Yeah. He was an accountant. He was more into rowing or something. But hence why he made it successful. He went, that's grand and all the rest of it. But if you didn't give a bollocks about rugby, how would you turn a blind eye to what's coming around the corner? And it's going to happen. All these women are going to be stolen by something else. They're going to be stolen by other sports that are up and coming. They're going to be stolen by other pastimes that are up and coming. You're not going to interest young girls in coming into it if you turn and they're going to be all stolen by something else. Do you know that, like, they'll all end up in fucking MMA or something. Like, they'll end up somewhere. How could you turn? Financially, I don't know, because it wouldn't take an awful lot. And the men's game, as you said, that'll take away. Like, it's up and running. It's fine. The pump is going.
Yes.
Like,
So, there's loads to it, but it was a mad week last week, just with kind of everything going on in the media coverage and. I know. I was just reading there. It's just so, on so many different feelings, but like watching all the other teams like break records and get record crowds and stuff like that, and we're just like still seem to be a sinking ship. And if we're not, and if there's stuff happening inside the IRFU that like we're not aware of, and if they are like have all these like I know the review. I've gone through the review, and I'm like, okay, cool. I really want to see it working now, and we have to like put up with where we're at the moment. Like there's all these different pages to it and all these different points because, people are arguing like, oh, is the coaching good enough? Are the right players there? Is the strategic? Da, da, da. There's so many different ways of coming at it, and like at the moment, none of those angles seem to be winning. So I think it's just a matter of time. I'm hopeful. I'm just when I hear shite like that, then like who gives a fuck about it? You're just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
why do we even bother?
I mean, if ever there was a toenail, like that's just a
Toenail.
that's a toenail in a suit, just actually flapping away, like the nail is flapping away talking. Like you're like, get back down in that sock, you fucking idiot of a toenail.
Back in your sock.
You fucking
It has
idiot.
like a mustache drawn on. Who gives a fuck about women's rugby? And it has a pint of Guinness.
If we have any arty people, because you won't have time because you're all over the fucking world at the minute. If we have any arty people listening, can you please tag myself and just a toenail in a suit with a little moustache and your own eyes, whatever type of eyes you want to draw, but just behind the podium, like guffawing like a prick, basically. If you wouldn't mind, please, that would be great. But yeah, for anybody who's wondering, so Wales, as we thought, and Wales had been putting in a couple of humdinger performances, but they absolutely, Christ, they went and they looked into the fucking food cupboard, and there was nothing but only a couple of crackers because England had fucking raided the entire cupboard and was running down the yard with it. 59 points worth of fucking food they had in their in their back sack, and
I know.
Fucking poor Wales, 59-3. My God.
I know. I was thinking as well. So Cecilia, our like superstar young prop, I've been thinking about her for a while, and like she seemed to kind of get a stinger in her shoulder at the weekend. So I was kind of just thinking about her, like it's very attritional for her and her young body, so they need to look after her. I know they will, but like, it's been so exciting to watch her.
She's 19. She's Christ almighty. She's 19 or 20, isn't she?
Yeah. But she's the battering ram because she's brilliant at it. And she loves it, like, but just thinking about, especially with how Wales have been playing, like, so physically, like, they need to be, wary of, like, I like any player. The thing is, like, with something like the Six Nations, especially for someone like Ireland or a team like Ireland in the men's, when it gets to the Italy fixture, maybe Scotland, you can kind of have a little jig around. But when you're, sitting middle to bottom table in either of the men's or women's, you have to go like full strength all the time.
Yeah.
And fully physical all the time. So it's and again, like we were discussing last week, this is a block of 3 games in a row now.
Yep.
So that's going to be like, it'll be interesting to see how bodies are by this 3rd weekend, which will be the 5th weekend of the 5th match weekend of the whole tournament. But Ireland have England quarter past 2. I feel like my times are coming up for me here in Spanish time, so it'll be 2:15.
Yes.
Cork in Musgrave Park, against England. World number 1 coming to town, like they're going to put on a show for sure. And then Scotland and Italy, that'll be key because, well, it depends. It depends how things go for Wales for the rest of the tournament as well. But like the 3rd place in the Six Nations goes into Tier 1.
Yes.
In the WXV tournament, so that's just like there's still like so much at stake every weekend for like all the teams. Looks like Ireland like are not in contention for that anymore. So 5th and 6th place is also like a big one. So just the rest of the weekends now. I think Ireland, obviously won't be banking on a W this weekend. So coming against like Scotland in the last weekend is going to be key as well.
Of course, Scotland will be licking their wounds this weekend after taking a 55-0. My God. And I thought there was more like, you said it, the gulf between even Wales, Scotland, and what is happening with France. And you can see it. It's 50 points apiece. They're just going, let's hit 50. Let's hit 60. You know what I mean?
I know. Foot on the throat kind of stuff. Like they have to, because all of those players, like, you have to keep it going because there's this. The squads are so competitive that if you kind of take your foot off the gas, like you might lose your jersey. So there's no let up in any way. You were talking before about like, depending on where the score is, like you might relax into it a little bit. But it's actually it's so enjoyable to be scoring those tries as well. They're just like, I want one, and like bang, bang, bang.
Can you imagine? So Can I have one? Yeah, tap 2.
Yeah. Let's organise that. Yeah. And then France and Wales on Sunday is going to be good, like. That's 3:15 on Sunday.
Yes, yeah.
That'll be a good one, because I think, well, yes, so hard.
You said we thought England and Wales were going to be a good one too, but I don't think.
Yeah.
As you said, like
I don't think France are where England are at. I think Wales will be able to push them a bit further and come a bit closer. But that remains to be seen on Sunday.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what Scotland. I mean, look, we can only hope that this weekend that Ireland can at least, like, we get a couple of tries.
Yes, get a couple of tries on the board. Yeah,
I'd love to see a lot of aggression, because that's the one thing for me. I don't mind. Like, I honestly don't mind a beating. Like, once there's aggression, do you know what I mean? Once there's aggression from us, I don't. But
they have had it.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm not disheartened. Yeah.
But you can be sure there's no way they're coming out of the dressing room on Sunday with anything other in their mind than absolutely going for it 100%.
Yeah. Like,
they've no choice. You can't cower in your corner. You know, you just have to come out and, like, I know Nicola, like, the captain is gonna, like, just set them up for that, and the other leaders on the team, they're just like, right, this is it. This is what we wanted. I wanted to play for Ireland. This is the fight we're in. Let's go.
Do you know what? We should have probably been brought in to give pep talks beforehand. I'd say it would have been unbelievable. I'm just saying, like, just me every so often piping up. Go on, Anna. That'd be my.
Well, listening to, like, just the pep talks from, like, Ciara Griffin, like, just to be just so brilliant, and, like, even Sene Naupu gave some pep talks, and, like, even playing club with, like, Fiona Coughlin and Paddy Kelly and Lynn Cantwell, like, listening to everyone's really good at it, because the thing is, on the day, it's coming from the heart.
Yes.
So Claire Malloy at the World Cup as well. So in the moment, you know, you can just feel like, I miss it. It's like,
do you know,
it's the best feeling in the world. But yes,
I'm just saying, like, you're bringing your boots back. You're pretty fit. Your sesame seeds are back. Look, Ireland. If you want the animal back, I'm not letting you have her. By the way, she's contracted verbally to the podcast. She's just so if Ireland come looking, no for the animal. No.
But I was going to say something else, but another.
Somebody else giving a pep talk.
Yeah, some other pep talk there.
I used to give a couple of good ones myself back in the day. I was all right. I was okay. I was school's captain. It was kind of any given Sunday stuff. Like, I was never frightened of getting dramatic. Never frightened of getting dramatic, because we had such a chip on our shoulder, because we weren't the fanciest school of any sort. In fact, we were quite the opposite to fancy. Nobody wanted to give us the time of day. Like, so it was easy enough to find that chip. We all had it. Like, fuck them. You know. But there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it when you can see lads crying and everything, like, ready to chew the fucking handles off the door, going out of the dressing room. Like, you're like, yeah, let's fucking do it.
I know. Do you know what's so bizarre though? Maybe I've referenced this before, but, like, that pre-match speech, like, your nerves are obviously, like, fucking. It depends on the day and the game and all, but, like, your nerves will be, like, shot. There's a point. I think it's kind of after that speech and on the way out to the pitch where, like, I don't know, I think it must be my mind. My mind is anticipating. It's obviously a scientific thing. It's kind of like a fight or flight reaction, but, like, my mind is telling me, I don't want to do this. Like, turn around now. And you have to, because obviously you're there. You can't run away.
Nope.
You have to go through like it's so interesting. That's my least favorite moment, like right before you play, when your head is telling you to run.
Yep.
And your head is telling you to, and like you overcome it, and like all it takes is the first big tackle or the anthem or something like that, like just to kind of to reset that thought in your mind, because it was very interesting. Like I always hated that part because I didn't believe it. Number one, it was kind of like, why does my body react like that? Why is my mind reacting like that? Why isn't my mind telling me that I don't? No, I don't. No, just run away. Just run away. It's very interesting. Like kind of, which is the way your mind and your body like tells you things.
Yeah, well, it's not so. I wouldn't have ever played to anything to your established level, but
But it's the same thing in
the
like club and stuff,
stand up more than anything,
yes,
and doing a one man play, which was completely out of my realm, a 2.5 hour play by myself, and the build up, that was the problem I think with me. With stand up, at least I've written myself. It's like, all right, let's go try it out, and it's fine. But because there was like a 4-week rehearsal period and the build up, and we finally got to opening night, and you're standing in the wings by yourself. And I remember one of a guy who was like a tech they brought in from Scotland or whatever. He was like, it's funny when the guy who played the same role in like an Australian one they did a couple of years. Yeah, he walked away, actually. He ran away on opening night. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm going to put your head in the fucking wall if you don't get away from me right now. And he didn't mean to. He didn't mean. He was a dozy prick, the same guy, because every part of my body wanted to run out the emergency exit and leave a full audience of people, full room, sold out, full audience, and just me run away. Every part of me. But what is that phrase from Zombieland? Nut up or shut up. It's like, get after it.
Well, that's it. But like your common sense prevails anyway, because you're like, oh my god, I can't do that. You know, I can't run away.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a part of your mind trying to tell you to run away.
and lining out at number 7 today for Ireland is actually where is she? Car starts outside the car park and a gun with her headband. Who is that woman with the headband tearing up the?
I mean, down in Junction 14, getting a wrap.
Still with the boots on and the gum shield, smelling the deep heat. Oh.
Watching the game on the telly.
Yeah, it's common sense prevails, but it is, as you said, it's very, very interesting. Your body is physically turning you to go the other way, and you're like, no, this isn't what it's the done thing. But your body, as a smart, intelligent person, is still going, yeah, but I'd still love to run away though. I'd still love to in this moment. There's just no choice not to.
Oh, the gap.
So that's the lineup for the weekend. I know you have to go and run to the toilet because you took your ice cream before you took your toilet break beforehand, which is a rule in podcasting world. I don't know, it's a very old rule. Always take your pee before your ice cream. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's like pretty standard.
Number one rule, lol.
So that's the lineup for the weekend. Ireland play England in Musgrave Park at 2:15. So that's the most important one. Fuck the rest of them because honorable mention. I don't know if you got to see it, but if you do get home and you have a spare 90 minutes, sit down and watch the Munster match versus the Stormers at the weekend.
No, bits.
Oh my sore ribs! Oh my God Almighty!
Was it not kind of massively deflating afterwards to be like, oh Jesus, where
backwards.
was it, or I don't know what? I
think it was definitely a confidence thing. It was for sure a confidence thing. Mike Haley was a huge loss at fullback. He's back in the. It has gotten his mojo's more or less back now. You can see his confidence. It's such a funny thing. We're just talking about head games right there, and it's a confidence thing. There's a couple of guys who don't seem to need it. That Calvin Nash is a different fucking gravy. That kid, my God. Oh my God. He just fights in every tackle. He's like a back row. Like, he just fights in every tackle. I can't see how Keith Earls or Andrew Conway are going to make their way back into that team, like with the way those two wingers are playing. I can't see how. The only way Joey Carberry is making it back in is if he bites off 2 bits of concrete tablets and toughens up, because what Ben Healy did at the weekend, I was bawling, going, we're letting him go. the rocks on that guy like. Okay.
Oh, that's
yeah.
so hard to hear. I'm sad about that.
Wait till you see the passes he ripping out. Like, just if you see that try that Shane Daly got, it was him who made it with this pass he ripped that the opposition couldn't get their hands on it. It was just skinning across in front of all their faces, and because it was traveling so fast, because he's so powerful, the pass just, oh my God, landed in
Oh,
Haley.
that makes me sad. That makes me sad listening to that.
The ref clock. That's the most badass. This is movie shit. The ref clock for the conversion.
Yeah.
Your man,
kick.
Yeah, he just went, you're on 10 seconds. He went, all right, fuck it, and kicked back the sign from the touchline and just launched it. And you're like, oh my God, he can do that as well. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's look, Edinburgh. Thanks very much. But anyway, it would bring you joy to watch it. Inspirational stuff, like, because they dug in. They dug in against him.
I love it.
I'm gonna go let you
yes.
Take a
number one rule.
Number one rule. And
wait, do you want to see more boats? Hang on, I show you.
Yeah, swing it around. We see more. Okay,
no,
this is for everybody on YouTube. That's a nice place. I can see how it'd be miserable in the Pistons of rain, but that is nice as it is now. And where's the ice cream parlor?
Hang on now.
Holy shit! What is that building? Is that an office?
They're like they're just the normal. Like they all have these like white fronts of windows. Like it's kind of the style of house around here. But so nice. Like I wasn't sure about it first of all, but it's very like typical Galicia, Coruña. And this is there's their little tour of Coruña there now.
Jesus Christ, we should have done one of these ages ago. Just a walking tour with Capeless. Just walking around going, Howie, well. Exul with Capeless.
There's Barbara, I'd say. Simon.
Barbara and Simon. Shout out to you. Right, we will...
shout out to Barbara and Simon. All right, talk soon. Come on, Ireland.
Let's do it. Go on, Ireland, this weekend, and I shall see you next week.
Slán!
Slán, good luck.
It's the Banana and Bear